Do we encourage our children to be individual thinkers, not just with problem solving and deciding what to wear that day, how to wear their hair, the clothes to wear, but also to really own their perception of their thoughts, to not allow others' opinions to cloud their vision. When you think about the issues that we have today, when you think about gun violence, when you think about violence in general, when you think about teenage pregnancy, when you think about being overweight, I've shared before how when I was living in Ohio and I was talking to a gentleman about his health, he had mentioned his back was bothering him. And, he was really talking, kind of um, just like, my simplified. My back has been bothering me. And then he went into my mother had back problems. So, I figure I get, what she had basically. And I call that the fatalistic approach. And there's no blaming, but there is a recognition, an observation of how we perceive our experiences, the thoughts that are behind our actions. With every action, there was an underlying powerful thought to guide someone down that path. Didn't know I was going to be speaking about this, but um, when we think about, you know, someone robbing someone, when we think about, the pressure that they feel like, this is, and I'm not just saying this is everybody's thought, but you think about sometimes the underlying thought may be, I don't have enough. And, in order to get what I want, I have to take. Where did that thought come from? Where did they see that unveiling? Where was those seeds planted? When you think about teenage pregnancy, you think about a lack of love that I felt as a child, and how when I have a child, I'm going to do better, and other thoughts that come in. If I can just have his baby, he'll stay with me, he'll be with me. I won't be alone anymore if I can just have a baby. When you think about prejudice and racism, those underlying thoughts of superiority, um, that I'm better, that than someone else. The color of my skin puts me more supreme than someone else. Fear and intimidation and feeling lack, that if they get the job versus me, then who am I? What will I be? What kind of person am I? Traditionally we've always been on top, always been the cream of the crop. And you just you just think about those underlying thoughts, and many of them are part of our socialization. It's something that we see, something that we hear, something that we take in and begin to believe and believe and believe as those seeds continue to be sown within us. When you think about suicide and thinking of life has no meaning and purpose, and I'm tired of living, and what is life for, and all these thoughts that can accumulate within a person's inner garden. And so, are we encouraging our children to think for themselves? That although you may see a lot of stuff, and I'm sure you can think about a lot of things that you saw that either, you were just like, I can't do that. I can't be that person. Or maybe there's something that you saw and you said, this is our reality. This is the world's reality. And we're often living out the mind's reality. This is how it is versus this is not how it is. I don't, because things are a certain way, doesn't mean I need to align with that experience, align with my circumstances. And I believe spiritually, that's what many of us are doing, including, myself. I've had that where you get so wrapped up in your storms of life. You get so wrapped up in your finances, in your marriage, in your children, and everything that's going on, and feeling pressure and overwhelmed, that you lose your grip on the reason why you're here. You lose your grip in that you are not defined by your experiences, but you are a powerful spirit clothed in human form. And, just that it's just such a blessing to have conversations as a parent with my children and really hear them out and figure out their thoughts behind maybe actions that I've seen, and to be observant of myself and the thoughts that I carried within me that pop up. And I think as we give ourselves time, many call it meditation. I just call it being at one with nature, where it isn't about the pose. It isn't about, you know, specific words or chants that you have to say. And I know I've just washed away a lot of stuff that you may have heard, but I think it's just about individual. It's an individualized experience with the words that come to mind. Yes, we can get into that meditation form by using others to guide us, but eventually, this oneness with nature is a personal experience. It's an individualized experience. And I appreciate my mother telling me as a child to find God for yourself. He's not inside of something. He's not just inside of a book. He's not just inside the church. He's not just inside something. It cannot be contained. This divine spirit that keeps everything in its place, water, land, orbit around the planets, our hearts beating, our nervous system, nerves communicating with one another and with our organs, that it is more powerful than we can imagine. But there's a part of us that knows that spirit. There's a part of it that knows its voice. There's a part of it that knows that if I just align with you, then life can be a lot easier. See, we make things harder than what they are. And so, even down to the minute, I believe what we think is minute, dressing, how we wear our hair that day, because we all have a curriculum to play out. And as we align with this oneness, this spirit, we align with this specific path, curriculum that we are here to do, this reflection of the truth. And I believe the sooner we get our children to see that, they have this availability of answers, of help and support, that we can change a lot of this stuff that we see. We can revert back to our original nature. We can revert back to the original garden that lies within us. And so, hopeful, idealistic, whatever it may be, but I feel like it's part of us that deep down inside we know that things are not how they seem, that we do not have to take on others' opinions, that we have a right to think the way we want to think. We have a right to think the truth. And I think and I believe that as a parent, as a caregiver, guardian, that's part of reminding our children who they are, because they can get so involved in these bullying type behaviors, name calling, hitting, kicking, pushing, all of this stuff, because they believe that this is the way that life is. When I was talking to someone who actually lives on campus here, and he was talking about his daughter and how she went back to her native land, and how he was talking about bullying. We were talking about bullying. He's like, well, bullying is everywhere. And it's almost as if we have just accepted behaviors. And just as soon as we accept behaviors, as we enable behaviors and say it's okay, it's part of this lifestyle, we encourage the behaviors to grow because they don't stay stagnant. Just like weeds, they continue to rob and rob and rob you of your nutrients. Your children, the people that you care for, rob you of your spiritual nutrients, the love, the compassion, the empathy. And we see it today. We see it in suicide. We see it in gun violence. We see it in bullying type behavior. We see it when administrators don't listen to students, plea for help regarding bullying. We see it that their perception, if you will, is not their own anymore. It's not from the core of who they are. It becomes what others perceive about their lives. That I am stupid, I am ignorant, that I am all of this instead of who I am originally. So it's not just about being independent thinkers, but really owning in your perception, your thoughts, your beliefs of who you are. And before we can do that, we have to, as parents and guardians, align ourselves with the truth. We have to seek the truth because whatever we impart on our children, we experience it as parents and continue to experience it if nothing changes. See, life doesn't have to be hard. We don't have to label all of these things, menopause and all of this stuff that we're going in and how terrible and awful it is. What I say is that there's something that created my body. There's something that knew I would be going into menopause. What we're going through, what our children go through, what we go through, puberty and all that stuff is not unknown to this creator. Someone who can, without strings attached, without batteries, without a plug, we don't have to plug ourselves in, but this perfect, this harmony within our body that allows it to keep doing what it's doing. And you mean to tell me it doesn't know that at a certain age I'm gonna, go into menopause? It doesn't know that at 10 years old, 13 years old, my child is gonna go through start puberty. And so I don't think as a child that life has to be difficult. And although I've had times where I've lost this truth, I'm back to believing that life doesn't have to be difficult. We often make it difficult with our thoughts. And I'm just encouraging to break this cycle of pain, to create a generational love cycle, that we really take a look at our thoughts and encourage our children to be individual thinkers and perceivers of the truth. That if someone does anything to them, it's not about them, but it's about the person and how they're choosing to cope with the situation or how they're choosing to express their pain, their insecurities, their lack of feeling valued, the pressure of perfection. That if we choose to not just see the actions, but to look beyond the thoughts of the actions and to address those, to be role models, individual role models, because collective consciousness is a accumulation of individual consciousness. And as we unravel this collectiveness, if you think about a cotton ball and really just kind of break that apart, then it becomes different. Then we can reinstill a consciousness that procreates, that enlivens, that frees others to truly be who they are, to free everyone to truly be who they are. And if this makes sense to you, definitely feel free to comment on it. And to let you know that I did start my newsletter on notes on life, empowering you to be you. But I was just thinking, about this deal of perception. It is how I perceived my experiences with pain. It's how we perceive our experiences with pain that we continue to be in pain. But if we see the individual the hearts of people as they are, we no longer need to blame. We no longer hold ourselves accountable for their action, hold ourselves accountable, but we hold them accountable for their actions. We put the pressure back on the individual instead of taking it on ourselves. And we decrease chronic health conditions. We decrease these mental illnesses that we see out in the world because we've stopped blaming, we've stopped shaming, we've stopped resenting, stop being guilty, stop shaming, stop blaming, stop, holding grudges, stop resenting. We stop all of this stuff because we see them as they are. We're not enabling them. We're not fueling the fire with our blame and our shame and our guilt. We're actually backing away, and we're allowing um, our light. We're allowing the waters of truth to put out the flame. This is Tamika Chambers with Create a Generational Love Cycle, and we dismantle the thought patterns that created the cycle of pain and reinstitute the love that creates a generational love cycle. There's so much pain, physical, mental, spiritual, social pain that we have in the world. And it's by changing our thoughts, by seeking the truth, that we unveil our true natures and we help others to do the same. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care of yourself. As always, make this lifetime great.